A very good evening to you and welcome to NTA's News Top Table, where we give you the news with an extra touch of details and new perspectives. Tonight, we will start on a very happy note as the remaining 27 students of College of Agriculture, Afaka, Kaduna, who were abducted have regained freedom. Beautiful. Then we will track the Federal Executive Council's deliberations on power supply, and we will follow conversations on tackling the nation's security challenges. Some are literally looking up for support. I mean, up above, deploying space science in response and surveillance in the fight against outlaws. Agriculture is on our lineup from different zones, giving previously idle hands meaningful engagement and a bellyful of reasons to be cheerful. There is also a peep into the lives of those involved in physical labor and have to do this while fasting and in the scorching sun too. It is a mixed menu of the novel, The Resilient and Interpret tonight. But don't take my word for it. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Maruba, and this is News Extra. You're welcome. The Federal Executive Council has approved over $8.28 billion as well as 3.01 billion naira for the execution of various contracts aimed at upgrading the nation's power infrastructure for effective service delivery to consumers. The Minister of Power, Salim Mamman, announced this while briefing journalists after the council's meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adam Osambo reports.
This is the 44th meeting of the Federal Executive Council to be held virtually in the new normal and 15th for the year 2021. Efforts at enhancing power supply in Nigeria for sustainable socio-economic development dominate discussions. The Minister of Power, Salim Mamman, presented 6 memoranda for consideration by council members.
The first one is the award of the contract for design, manufacturing, and supply of critical spare parts for chromosomes grapes 330 kV, 132 kV, and 33 kV circuit breakers in the sum of 298,339,887 naira. And the second one is the award of the contract for the procurement of 50 sets of 400 AH battery banks. 30 to 50 volts, and 30 number of 110 volts battery chargers for the substation used by the TCM in the sum of 644,805,953 naira 10 kobo.
Approval has also been granted for the procurement of 50 sets of 132 kV isolators for the Transmission Company of Nigeria at 53.9 million naira, as well as $840,650.
And the fourth one is the award of the contract for the design, manufacturing, and the supply of 360/66 MVA 132 kV power transformers with accessories, and 15 number of 500 kV transformers, 33.415 kV earthing transformers for the TCN in the sum of 1,296,953,044 naira 55 kobo.
The Ministry of Power has also been given the go-ahead to award contract for the design, supply, and installation of optical ground wire, as well as universal optical transportation network system for some critical transmission lines at 668.8 million naira and $6.5 million. Similarly, the council approved an upward review of the contract sum for the design, manufacture, supply, installation and commissioning of 132/33 power transformer at Ogba Transmission Substation in Lagos in the sum of 48.3 million naira and over $648,000.
All this procurement is geared towards upgrade of the transmission system to the national grid so that we are going to have a sufficient power supply to the nation.
The Minister of Power, Salim Mamman, used the opportunity to reaffirm the commitment of the federal government towards closing the metering gap in the nation's electricity supply industry. Already, he said, 1 million out of the 4 million meters to be supplied under the meter asset provider have been deployed, aimed at stopping estimated billing in Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Have you been worried over the absence of a specialized institution backed by law for the training of officers of the Nigerian Correctional Service? Well, just like the Nigerian Police Academy and the Nigerian Defense College, then the story from the Senate will excite you. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unko reports that the legislators are now considering a bill that seeks to establish the Nigerian Correctional Service Academy.
The need for a technically sound manpower at various correctional centers across Nigeria re-echoed on the floor of the Senate. The legislators believe its significance transcends a policy pronouncement, and therefore a bill to establish a Nigerian Correctional Services Academy was initiated, sponsored by Senator Ramoni Mustafa, and has passed second reading.
Members of the course will also analyze formulation of national strategy for the administration of our prisons.
Particularly in this period where correctional facilities are being threatened by those who don't mean well for this country.
The Federal Capital Territory College of Nursing and Midwifery Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Sani Musa, also passed second reading.
There is no financial implication to this bill. All the operational structures are already in place, as the school has been in existence for the past 40 years.
That this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it.
Senate passed 3 bills: the Agricultural Research Council Act Amendment Bill, Nigeria Steel University at Jokuta, Kogi State, and the Federal Medical Center Mubi, Adamawa State Establishment Bills. The Senate, through a motion by Senator Emmanuel Buacha, has urged the Acting Inspector General of Police, the Police Service Commission, and the National Judicial Council to investigate alleged unlawful detention of 14 indigenes of Taraba South Senatorial District by the State Commissioner of Police.
The National Judicial Council, in collaboration with its state counterpart, to ensure the release of this suspect on bail pending when they will commence their trial.
And for 14 citizens of this country in Taraba State to have been detained for this long without trial.
In a democracy, the rule of law must be made to stand, and we all have a duty to ensure that the right thing is done.
A new bill was introduced on the floor of the Senate. The bill seeks to establish the National Commission for Reconciliation, Peace and Mediation. Now, what this means is that the bill has passed first reading in the Senate. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Unko, NTA News.
An accurate population census figure enables all-round planning by government. The House of Representatives is of the view that the upcoming population and housing census may not be a success due to security concerns. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the House has urged the National Population Commission to put on hold its plan of conducting a head count in Nigeria.
The call on the Population Commission to suspend the census is based on serious issues of concern, as noted by a mover of the motion, Representative Shehu Beji. He pointed out that insecurity has led to displacement of persons to distant locations, some as far as neighboring countries, and the risk of staff of the Commission falling victims of banditry and kidnapping.
In this circumstance, a large chunk of Nigerians have fled their homes, while many others are being held under captive by kidnappers. As such, conducting such census without them means infringing on their rights or their constitutional rights.
The House resolved to invite the National Population Commission to make clarification on the feasibility of the exercise, the resurgence of attacks in parts of Benue State, and the need for authorities to intervene in the plight of internally displaced persons across the country, as raised by Representative Mark Wheeler, was adopted.
To request the Defense Ministry and Nigerian Army to immediately deploy more personnel and equipment, including surveillance and intelligence gathering technology, to Operation Wellstroke operatives in Benue State to enable them tackle this resurgence of attacks.
A motion from Representative Patrick Ifong urging federal government to curb fishing by foreign vessels on Nigeria's territorial waters, considering the losses incurred, was supported by House members, just as the motion from Representative Mike Ajiba appealing for urgent measures to address gully erosion in the Federal Capital Territory got the nod of lawmakers.
Urge the Federal Capital Territory Administration to compel the estate developer within the FCT to comply with building code.
Meanwhile, the House considered and approved the report on a bill to establish Federal University of Agriculture, Langtang, Plateau State.
Objectives of this university, if established, will be to harness the agricultural potential of Plateau State and the North Central.
4 bills seeking the establishment of academic and health institutions passed second reading. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And let's take you to Kaduna, where the remaining 27 students abducted from the College of Forestry, Africa in Kaduna State have been released. Mohammed Umar Ajengi has the latest.
Before the release of the 27, 10 of the students had earlier regained freedom and returned to their families. Security update by the Kaduna State government says Kaduna State Police Command has reported to the state government the release of the remaining students of Federal College of Forestry and Mechanization, Africa. The update by Samuel Aruan, the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, says government rejoices with the freed students, their families, and the management of the institution over this development. Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai charged them to bear their ordeal as a motivator to put the past behind and work hard towards a happier and successful future ahead. Meanwhile, in a related development, troops rescued 13 kidnapped persons from bandits in Gwagwada community of Tukun local government area. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Jingi, NTA News.
Well, thank you, Mohammed. Now, our President Muhammadu Buhari welcomes the release of the 27 students of the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, Africa in Kaduna, and congratulates their friends, families of the government and people of Kaduna State following the happy end of the saga. President Buhari, in a message, expresses deep appreciation to all the actors who contributed one way or the other to this happy outcome, in particular the defense and security agencies, the officials of the Ministry of Environment and the government of Kaduna State, and thanked Nigerians for their prayers. President Muhammadu Buhari called for steadfastness and security awareness on the part of citizens and the law enforcement agencies, and deployed the increasing politicization of security in the country by opportunistic politicians. The president appealed for the release of the students of the Greenfield University and all other citizens held in captivity, expressing the strong determination of his administration to ensure that Nigerians lived in a country where everyone can move where they want, when they want, without the fear of kidnapping and banditry. Well, joining us now is the Commissioner for Internal Security, Kaduna State, Mr. Samuel Aruan, to talk more on the release. Well, Mr. Samuel, good to have you on News Extra tonight.
For having me, and good to be with you.
Okay. First of all, can you confirm again to Nigerians that the remaining 27 students of the College of Forestry Africa have regained their freedom? Let's hear you.
Yes. With happiness, I can confirm to you that the remaining 27 students of the Federal College of Forestry and Mechanization, Kaduna, have been freed this evening. As we speak, they are with us. They are presently undergoing a thorough medical checks ahead of tomorrow when we will hand over the freed students to their parents, families, and the institution as well.
Well, it's really, really a happy one. Well, can you tell us the role government played in securing the release of the students?
Well, what you need to know is security is a very sensitive issue, and we like to keep our cards close to our chest. What is important is they are out, and we are happy with this development. And the governor of the state has sent a strong message to the students, urging them to put the bad past behind them, and they should look at this as a turning point towards a better future. For now, this is the little that I can say. We are happy, they are back, and we are also working assiduously towards the release of other citizens who are in captivity.
Okay, but I can't let you go without asking you what are the strategies being deployed, to be ahead of these criminally minded, group of people.
Well, what you need to know, like I said earlier on, we feel that you can't come out and let your strategy out. There is no point of doing that. Yes, we understand the ongoing politicization of security challenges in the country, but we will not lose our cool. We will remain focused, and we will not play to gallery simply because we want to please some people. Once you play to gallery, you are likely to undermine efforts that is being put in place. So we wouldn't want to play to the gallery at the detriment of our citizens who are in captivity. But like I said, we remain focused, and we will continue to do our best.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Samuel Aruwan, the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Kaduna State. Thank you so much for giving us the update on the release of the abducted children. Now, moving on, the APC Senate caucus says President Muhammadu Buhari is fully in charge of the country and patriotic in the discharge of his duties. Senate leader Yahya Abubakar Abdullahi told journalists after the caucus meeting in reaction to a statement by the Senate minority leader, Eyinaya Abaribe. John Yaku reports.
The APC caucus, while acknowledging the role of the opposition party in the democracy, expressed concern over utterances of the minority leader, which it says are capable of overheating the polity.
We therefore call on our distinguished colleagues, and indeed all Nigerians, to join hands with us as we prefer solution to these hydra-headed security challenges. In doing so, we want to assure Nigerians and the international community that the rule of law will be respected and the rights of the opposition guaranteed. We ask for support and continuous constructive criticisms as envisaged by the tenets of our participatory democracy.
The APC caucus dissociates itself from the comments stressing that the president has always been in touch with stakeholders and the National Assembly over the security situation in the country. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
Now, no matter how tactical terrorists are, they cannot be more knowledgeable and sophisticated than the Nigerian security organizations. To this end, the Nigeria Space Research and Development Agency is strengthening its collaboration with all security agencies towards bringing to an end the insecurity phase the nation is currently facing. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday reports.
Banditry and terrorism are some of the insecurity challenges facing most nations of the world. Nigeria also shares in this challenge, and to solve the problem, the federal government has devised many means which analysts say have been impactful. Knowing that most of the activities of the terrorists are done using communication gadgets, these space scientists from all space centers across the country converged on Abuja to fine-tune their strategies to speed up the needed solution. The Director General, Dr. Ali Luhamad Shaba, and other experts brought to the fore their contributions, such as surveillance and mapping, that will help in achieving their goal.
Images of mapping, wave mapping around Niger State. The same spot that was spoken about in September. Imagine somebody who has a camp in September and he can plant even mines. How can your military go and deal with that? Since September, we made this clear. Let's take our place in space. Let's take our space on Earth.
Dr. Halilu Hamad Shaba said the agency has all it takes to navigate and track anybody, anywhere in the country.
Look at some waves that we're seeing. You know that communications are taking place. They are not using ordinary GSM because they've been tracking them. So they are using walkie-talkie and the rest. And we have facilities to monitor even the maritime area. We have facilities to monitor what is happening.
The DG also called on all Nigerians to assist security agencies in the area of intelligence gathering, as all is set to build a national reconnaissance center where all security information will be integrated. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
The national security of the Nigerian state is a panacea for building a stable and progressive society, regardless of socio-political or other differences that characterized the existence of all facets of the nation. This occupied the minds of guests on NTA Current Affairs program Tuesday Live on ways of strengthening security and national integration. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
Nigeria's security architecture has come under threat by activities of proscribed groups, leading to panic and loss of lives and property from avoidable circumstances. This sad commentaries in the nation's history is now attracting views of key players to finding lasting solutions to the insecurity bedeviling parts of the country and fanning the ember of war.
Any person, any individual or group standing to discuss issue or division of this country will be shooting itself at the toe, because what Organized and General Assembly is working assiduously very soon we'll begin to get our program is to make sure that Nigeria and the people, we are united, and we are united in common front. We fight our security challenges together. We'll discuss our prosperity together.
This nation is a great nation. We have sacrificed a lot to keep the nation as one indivisible entity. But because some certain situations whereby some people feel that I'm not in the vanguard of this and that, and then the next thing is that every other person must go down with me.
The Rwanda-Somalia genocide and that of other African countries are classified under unwholesome incidents Nigerians should derive lessons from and embrace peaceful national integration.
After democracy came on board, there were lots of different ethnic, cultural groups came up. Unfortunately, again, some of these were misused. And then we began to see people speaking responsibly. But for me, one of the major misnomer of our current democracy is actually the irresponsible, violent political culture.
It is not a time that we must do the business of exclusion, the business of partisanship. The challenges of security facing this nation today requires that all hands must be on deck.
Drug abuse, proliferation of firearms, thuggery, and ethnic profiling are described as fuel for rising tension in the country, and convening of high-level security summit was also suggested to defeat retrogressive elements. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
In light of the gravity of security challenges and spate of violence in parts of the country in recent times, the National Security Council has gone back to the drawing board to figure out some of these triggers and find lasting solutions. Defense correspondent Nigerian Tijani examines some of these triggers.
Gory headlines and breaking news which break hearts. The recent spate of attacks in the country have raised cause for alarm. Worried by these incessant attacks and violence across the country, the National Security Council, in a meeting convened by President Muhammadu Buhari, seeks to critically examine and find new ways of surmounting these challenges. While details of the meeting are still classified, the dire reports from traditional and social media requiring the Department of State Services (DSS) to issue an advisory, part of which constitutes a daily reminder of the role media plays and why action will need to follow the meeting. In the advisory, the DSS says it will no longer tolerate plans by what it calls sponsored subversive groups to throw Nigeria into anarchy. Previously, security operatives have had to subdue one of such proscribed groups predominantly in southeastern Nigeria, a saga which played out on social media with several Twitizens tweeting mixed accounts and giving an opportunity for fake news to go viral on the app. Despite several campaigns against fake news, the phenomenon continues to thrive, with several incidents being distorted. Hate speech is another trend which the DSS also addresses in its advisory, saying even though democracy allows for free speech, it does not allow for reckless statements which can potentially undermine security. These statements also abound on social media, with traditional media outfits also being fingered by groups and some media personalities such as Kadria Ahmed, who warns that ethnic profiling in reports can lead to polarity. Experts also say the media has a major role to play in keeping the peace, a message which was revisited during World Press Freedom Day. As the DSS says, there is no need to engage in acts inimical to the peace and sovereignty of the nation. Rather, all hands should be on deck to support an indivisible and united Nigeria. In the meantime, the nation awaits the outcome of the National Security Council meeting to proffer solutions to the security challenges while promoting peace and harmony. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
And let's head to Lagos. For Nigeria to achieve and sustain national security and cohesion, it is imperative that proactive steps are taken to quell the divisive rhetorics and renew the confidence of all citizens in Nigeria. This is the position of residents of Lagos State and concerned stakeholders in response to the wave of insecurity in the country. Adeni Taiwo completes the report.
A state of over 20 million population, peopled by different ethnic groups from across the country. The pride of the nation, bubbling with life, but not a stranger to conflicts.
Look at how they are doing. Look at how they are destroying in front of last two. In front of last two.
In recent times, these are some of the emerging pictures and narratives on traditional and social media, a hint that Lagos, which has just emerged from the ruins and toils of the NSAS protest, may not be exempted from the current wave of tribal agitations in part of the country, thereby putting enormous strain on national security and cohesion.
We should, in Lagos, as we should throughout the country, be able to know our citizens, to know where they live. We cannot fight insecurity if we don't know where Nigerians live, if we don't know them by name.
Beyond offering Nigerians a large market to trade and thrive, Mile 12 International Food Market in the heart of Lagos holds other lessons, not only on the importance of peace to national development, but also on how the country can better manage its diversity.
We are treating each and every one of us as brothers. We all of us here, both Igbo, Yoruba and Hausas, we are relating like brothers and sisters. All the tribes in Nigeria, including my tribes, Northern, they are patronizing me, they are buying market from my hand. Why? Because whenever they come, I do play with them, joke with them. And that is what market needs.
And if it is Igbo man, the same thing. If it is Yoruba person, it is the same thing. The only thing that can help Nigeria to succeed is when we live in unity.
Nigeria, that's how we want Nigeria to do. If there is something happening in other places, so they have to immediately send the security to the place so that everything will calm down.
Considering its vast potential for growth, Nigeria, these stakeholders believe, deserves a second chance at living in peace.
Our leaders have a duty to create a sense of belonging for every Nigerian. That way, we will be able to forge a greater nation.
They say the era of exploiting fault lines to achieve political ends must end for the nation to flourish in peace. In Lagos, Adini Itaiwo, NTA News.
Let's talk more peace and security. A currency most needed by Nigerians at the moment and being sought for by a socio-cultural group, Walidira Fulani Initiative, in conjunction with non-governmental organizations. They are calling for an end to banditry, kidnapping and destruction of lives and property by foreign militia. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanera reports.
At a joint media briefing in Abuja, the conveners have shown commitment and solidarity for the unity of Nigeria and call for the arrest, probe, and prosecution of those found guilty of the killings or inciting killings of innocent lives and destruction of property.
Our mission is to build a platform that will promote the value of an enterprising Fulani so as to be of the best international standards.
Our position is to establish community policing in the country by the use of traditional rulers and emirates of each axis as anchor.
There are criminal elements in all tribes in Nigeria. Hence, profiling Fulani as criminal is bad. We demand for a law stopping ethnic profiling of the Fulanis headers and other tribes.
The security is affected all over the country. Now, I myself am from Borno State. No farming, no cattle rearers, no fishing, no traders, no school.
Children and women keep dying every day. And it is very appalling. It's not what we want.
The National Assembly and Federal Executive Council serve as key actors in taking responsibility of national security.
They agreed that the security situation of Nigeria requires conscious effort to secure the future generation through sincere commitment in providing useful tips to the relevant authorities. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
One of the most effective means of coercion is the use of force, especially through arms. That is why most law enforcement agents bear arms. The criminally minded also seek to bear arms, albeit illegally. Expectedly, the proliferation of small arms and light weapons is amplifying crime in some parts of Africa, Nigeria inclusive. In this special report, defense correspondent Ismail Musa highlights the source of these arms, consequences, and ongoing measures to checkmate the negative trend.
In the past, weapons like guns, bow and arrows are basically used by hunters for gaming and to protect their communities from wild animals invasion. With civilization, more sophisticated weapons are manufactured and are mostly used by state actors, like the military and paramilitary. Consequently, there are more than 12 billion rounds of ammunition manufactured annually, 857 million small and light weapons in circulation globally. 70% of these are said to be in Africa, with Nigeria having the largest number.
The problem in Libya and those terrorists or insurgents who are moving from Syria, from Afghanistan, most of them are finding their way back into Africa, and majority are now coming down southwards. The problem in Chad is an indication that people who are manufacturing weapons in Nigeria, whether you like it or not, either to what is happening in Mali, what is happening in Burkina Faso, or what we call the G5 Sahel.
This has amplified the criminal activities of Boko Haram in the northeast. banditry and kidnapping in the northwest and north central, the proscribed IPOP in the southeast, and militancy in the Niger Delta region.
Armed our security personnel. What is wrong if we now employ about 200, 300, 400, 500,000 soldiers? If we cannot afford, we have to do it because it is better we relax some of our enjoyment and make sure that we secure our country.
To stem the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, a critical regional security threat, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, established the Small Arms Control Program and other charters domesticated by member countries.
It is an ongoing process, and the police are up and doing, trying to ensure that we mop up whatever we can, and we are going to put heads together with other security agencies.
A lot more still needs to be done. We aren't doing enough. And unfortunately, whereas the United Nations and other agencies at that level, may have made such pronouncements, one wonders whether they have also, supported such pronouncements with the resources required, to execute, such pronouncement.
This notwithstanding, the custom and other security agents have continued to intercept and confiscate large weapons, a development experts say need the support of all to complement government's efforts at reversing the trend. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Thank you, Ismail. Now, still to come on News Extra, a peep into the wonderful technology that has changed the narrative about barrenness and what makes it a hard road to travel for many. Join us for this and more when News Extra returns in just a moment. Great to have you back on News Extra. Contrary to reports by some media, the federal government is not thinking of cutting wages, rather it is considering salary harmonization. This is against the backdrop of the fact that there are some government agencies paying much higher than others for staff on the same grade level. Therefore, the government, according to Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed, is seeking more of pay parity. She disclosed this at the ongoing National Policy Dialogue on Corruption and Cost of Governance in Nigeria, organized by the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission in Abuja, adding that the President has directed the Salaries Committee to review payroll and also review the number of agencies. According to her, what government hopes to achieve is to redistribute wages equally across board and bring salary structure within government agencies as close as equitable and fair as possible. The minister's explanation contradicts Labour's claims that government is planning to reduce the cost of governance by slashing workers' salaries. Assisted reproductive technology has given hope to a lot of couples challenged by infertility. Good as it seems, it is however fraught with some challenges. Gabriel Aminike examines these effects and challenges of technology-assisted childbearing.
According to the African tradition, marriage is said to be a beautiful experience. The joy of two people bonding together in holy matrimony is usually not complete without the birth of a child. 1 or 2 years after the union is formally legalized. When this fails, family members and friends will begin to raise eyebrows on the failure of the couple to produce a baby. The society in turns labels them infertile. Infertility in Nigeria is often greeted with stigma alongside emotional and social distress for the affected couples. The birth of Louis Brown in 1978 through in vitro fertilization, IVF, resulted in a big breakthrough for scientists, clinicians, and most especially infertile couples.
I have a friend who have been married for years, no issue. She takes in, she miscarried. As God may have it, she went for IVF. The first one, it failed. The second one, but this last one, by the grace of God, turned out into a positive result. And now she's a happily mother of 2. She got twins, a boy and a girl, and she's enjoying it. So there is nothing wrong in one doing IVF.
IVF, it is not scriptural because in the Bible, at least, we know that Abraham and Sarah stayed. Abraham was 99, Abraham was almost 100, and before they get the gift of the fruit of the womb. So if something like this was existing or is in the plan of God, I think it would have been done earlier.
With this breakthrough, couples having infertility challenges can now have their own children.
IVF simply means in vitro fertilization. It is one of the new scientific ways of assisting women who have infertility, a certain kind of infertility. So one, I have to say is that it's a medical and scientific proven way of making babies. But in IVF, babies are made outside the uterus, outside the womb, and then once the fertilization occurs, the fetus is now transferred to the womb. I know there are people who look for babies who don't even seek proper care, who end up drinking everything without seeing a doctor. And the years are going. So if you are looking for a child, please look for a gynecologist and then start your treatment from there. And then be patient. There's always a God factor in everything we do. The babies will come. But if peradventure they don't come, the one you have, you can adopt babies, you can do surrogacies, you can even pick any child from the road and make them your own.
Experts are of the opinion that the blessings that come with technology-assisted childbearing are far beyond the challenges. In Port Harcourt, Gabriel Amunike, NTA News.
Gabriel, now over 2,400 internally displaced persons at the Kawarmela camp and surrounding host communities in the heart of Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, are beneficiaries of federal government's food and other empowerment items. The Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Bashir Garba Mohammed, distributed the food and livelihood support items to the targeted persons. Yagum Subukar has the details.
It could be recalled sometimes in January this year following an interaction with internally displaced persons of Kaurmila. The Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Bashir Garba Mohammed had pledged to support the IDPs with food and other supplies as part of the Commission's mandate. In fulfillment of the Commission's pledge, 290 households benefited from food items, while 145 households received non-food items, as well as empowerment tools, where 16 persons got grinding machines, 20 deep freezers, 10 generators, and 9 having sewing machines. Flagging off distribution of the items, Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Bashir Garba Mohammed, assisted by Chairman Board of Trustees of the Commission, Peter Bie, implored the IDPs to use the items to cushion the effect of their hardship.
The Commission is a friend to the state government, and of course, this gesture is an extension of other gestures from the federal government under the leadership of Muhammadu Buhari.
Director Operations Borno State Emergency Management Agency Abdullahi Suleiman appreciated the Commission for coming to the aid of the IDPs. Overwhelmed by the gesture done them, the beneficiaries expressed optimism that the items will immensely assist in uplifting their means of livelihood. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a few days after receiving compensation from Zamfara state government, victims of the recent inferno at the popular Tudunwadaguso market have started making moves to get back on their feet. The victims, who are mostly market women and some other small-scale traders, are in high spirits as work for the reconstruction of their burnt shops has also commenced in earnest. Jamilu Ibrahim tells us more.
It will be recalled that a fire outbreak raised a substantial part of the popular Tudunwadaguso market, Zamfara State, in March this year. This prompted Governor Bello Muhammad to set up a committee under the leadership of a renowned Islamic scholar and the state Sheikh Ahmad Ibn Umar Kanuma, which alongside the State Ministry for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development conducted an assessment and came up with the actual number of traders affected by the inferno and the loss incurred by each and every one of them. Zamfara State government has promptly responded to to the plight of the affected businessmen and women. Each of the victims, numbering 67, received cash assistance as a full compensation of what they lost to the Inferno.
Nothing is reduced from their claims. Nothing. Every single person amongst them, whatever he or she estimated, is what is given to them.
The gesture, according to Zamfara State government, is to enable the affected traders to resume their business activities with minimal delay, as it also awarded contracts for the reconstruction of the raised portion of the market at the cost of more than 100 million naira. The chairman to the Wadagoso Market Traders Association and other compensated businessmen who spoke with NTA News expressed gratitude to the Zamfara State government for the immediate intervention.
Though nobody prays for disaster, the Inferno has become a blessing to us because we have been overcompensated.
The traders received cash as a full compensation of what they lost to the Inferno, ranging from more than 100,000 to 1.7 million naira. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
Interesting. Now, as part of efforts to identify areas of strength, gaps and measures to further curtail gender-based related violence in Niger State, a two-day capacity building workshop for members of the committee inaugurated for that purpose is underway in Minna. Wife of State Governor Dr. Amina Abubakar Bello, who doubles as the chairperson Gender-Based Violence Committee of the state, led the deliberations in achieving set objectives. Fatima Usman completes the report.
A report from the United Nations Population Fund established to promote the rights of women and children indicates that violence against women and girls is one of the most prevalent human rights violations in the world, as out of every 3 women, 1 experience physical or sexual abuse during their lifetime. Worried by this growing trend, a call for action was made by the Northern Governors' Wives Forum to tackle the menace head-on. The action saw the implementation and inauguration of a 21-member gender-based violence committee by Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello with his wife, Dr. Amina Abubakar Bello, as chairperson of the committee.
It's like a guide on how we are going to work in the state. So I believe what we will do differently is implement what it is that we have learned here moving forward. And we will have other capacity building workshops to assess what we have done and also guide us on the steps forward.
The workshop seeks to identify most prevalent gender-based violence in the state, its root causes and factors responsible.
I believe that at the end of this capacity building, we are going to have more additional structures to reach out to victims of GBV.
It's important to get all the members on the same page so that they understand the issue they are going to be managing. Because when you don't understand an issue, you don't understand the root, the problem, the root causes of that problem, it will be difficult for you to address it effectively.
The committee members at the end of an in-depth technical session are expected to come up with an action plan for implementation. In Minna, Fatima Usman, NTA News.
Justice for victims will go a long way in reducing prevalence of rape, gender-based violence, and human trafficking. This formed the crux of deliberations presented by the wife of Taraba State Governor Anna Darius Ishaku during her advocacy visit to the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. Ekene Ndulwe reports.
Rising cases of rape in the country has become a source of concern for all responsible citizens. Records show that most of the perpetrators go unpunished, resulting in many victims not reporting their cases, while many of them are left stigmatized. Wife of Taraba State Governor Anna Darius Ishaku says this has to end, as she is leading the fight from her home front through Hope Afresh Foundation, a non-governmental organization she founded in 2015. Her visit to NTA is to seek partnership in the fight against rape, gender-based violence, human trafficking, and drug abuse.
If they go out and get justice, then they know that they are comforted, they are strengthened, that something will be done against the person who has violated them. But if they don't get justice, at the end of the day, I mean, that is where the stigma comes in.
Fortunately, NTA is spearheading a campaign against rape and rapists.
We launched a campaign. NTA, we've declared ourselves as the official vanguard of the campaign against rape and rapists. And we are very willing to bring you on board.
As the wife of the governor rose from the meeting, it was agreed that youths should engage in productive ventures to stay away from crime. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has felicitated with quintessential administrator Al-Hassan Yakmut Saleh as he turns 60. The president appreciates decades of service to the country by Saleh in different areas of endeavor, including sports, management and administration, rising to the position of Director General, National Sports Commission. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the President says equally worthy of note are top-flight appointments held by Saleh, including Chief de Mission, 12th All-African Games, Deputy Chief de Mission, Olympics Games, and Secretary Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Services Board, urging the younger generation to emulate such devotion to duties, rejoicing with the Yakmut Saleh family, professional colleagues, friends and well-wishers of the administrator. The President wishes him Godspeed, good health and greater service to motherland. It is going to be spirituality at its best when we return from this next break we're about to take. From the uncommon resilience of adherent amidst all odds and a quest for divine intervention in stamping out the pandemic of our time. Join us again.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News. And also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.
Welcome. A day full of sun and heat wave is naturally not a friendly day to a Muslim observing the Ramadan Fast. For a place yet to experience even the first rain of the year, but constant emission of sweat-inducing temperature, the situation is particularly worrisome. And for the category of people that depend on strenuous labor for their livelihood, their uncommon resilience is under real test. Yohana Hassan Barrow in Kano files in this report on the weather, hard labor and fasting.
For more than a month, many places in Nigeria have experienced the 2021 rainfall as predicted by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. But here in Kano, the commercial hub of northern Nigeria, the first rain is yet to drop. No rains yet here in Kano. The scorching sun is having a field day, emitting its rays of intense temperature without barricading the like of clouds. And it is fasting time when Muslims observe the day with no food or drink. That is the reality here in Kano in this blessed month of Ramadan. As a result of this, Kano is not in its characteristic busy nature, occasioned by high volume of hustle and bustle on its township streets. However, while many have the option of staying away from the scorching sun as it bites harder, many others don't. Their destiny and livelihood are tied to it. They must hence navigate through the inconvenience of heat and fasting. Only then can they afford a food for themselves and their families. Adamu Ibrahim is a father of 7 who says he depends solely on poaching to cater for his family.
All what I'm after is to get what my family will eat. So I feel very okay with my business.
Just like Adamu, Many of his counterparts believe that though the business is stressful, it's a lot better than begging on the streets.
I came out to beg but did not get anything, so I ended up potting.
Dr. Bashir Umar speaks on productivity from the Islamic perspective.
People who are involved in extremely difficult circumstances and hard physical labor for them to earn their livelihood, their fasting has double reward because the intensity and the suffering they face is not like the suffering that other people face.
For Adamu and his partners alike, the call is people to engage in one business or the other because, as the saying goes, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. In Kanu, Yahanasa Hassan Baro, NTA News.
And as the 1442 after Hijrah Ramadan fast gradually approaches its end, many spiritual acts of worship that herald the climax are still being affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Hakimat Aliu brings us the situation report while she seeks answers on how to strike a balance between ensuring safety against the virus and maximizing the bounties of Allah in the holy month of Ramadan.
Tahajjud, the midnight prayers, and itikaf, which is seclusion in the mosques for dedicated worship, are amongst acts observed within the last 10 days of Ramadan. However, findings from the Abuja National Mosque reveal that all these have been put on hold.
Due to the nature of Tahajjud, we suspended the Tahajjud prayers. Even the Tarawih we are doing, we are not accommodating more than 30% of the mosque capacity.
Ramadan activities are slowing down to some extent, but not as compared to 2020 Ramadan Fast.
It is also observed that other congregational prayers and tafsir are devoid of the usual crowd in adherence to physical distancing and other COVID-19 safety protocols. Some worshippers lament the situation.
Honestly, it is not something impressive considering the importance of the last 10 days in the holy month of Ramadan.
We used to do Tahajjud for years, almost 30 years in this mosque. But now there is no Tahajjud, no anything. So I'm not happy.
My advice to them is that they should exercise patience and they can do it at home. Yeah. They can do it at home. Last year we did it in our various homes.
So we have witnessed the last Ramadan and this one. When you compare it, you must appreciate and show your gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being alive and for being safe from COVID-19 and all your family members.
The clerics maintain that it is imperative for Muslims to be law-abiding and comply with the COVID-19 protocols while seeking Allah's favor. This period during Ramadan, this place would have been a beehive of activities with people spending consecutive days in dedicated worship to Allah. Many of the Ramadan rituals and traditions, no doubt, are not as they were due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but worshippers are hopeful that the little they are able to do will be blessed and rewarded by Allah, and hopefully COVID-19 will become history in Nigeria and the world at large. In Abuja, Hakimat Aliu, NTA News.
I'm into that, Hakimat. In another development, a special rosary prayer to end coronavirus pandemic has been held at the International Sanctuary of Jesus, the Savior and Mother Mary, Elele, Nigeria. The rosary prayers followed a directive from the Holy Father, Pope Francis, that sanctuaries should join him in special rosary prayer this month of May, asking Mother Mary to intercede to end the pandemic ravaging the world today. Emeka Okbala reports.
The Holy Father, who also led the Rosary Prayer as the head of Catholic Church on Saturday, May 1st, 2021, urged Christians, especially the Catholic faithfuls, to use the period to ask the Mother of Jesus, the Savior, to intercede on our behalf to end the dreaded disease which has killed millions of the people across the world. The International Sanctuary of Jesus, the Savior, and his Mother Mary, Elele, Nigeria, responded to the Papa's call on Sunday, 2nd May 2021, having participated fully with the Holy Father's special rosary prayers earlier. As expected, the rector and founder of the sanctuary, Very Reverend Father Emmanuel Ede, led the rosary with thousands of pilgrims in attendance. In his message, the rector of the sanctuary gave account of his encounter with Mary, mother of Jesus the Savior, describing the encounter as the instrument of all his success in the sanctuary over the years. He said no one had ever gone to Mary with petition and failed to get her attention.
In this month of May, we gather around the Holy Father, who asked the entire church to raise together the Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God, supplications for the end of this trial. Virgin Mary, turn your merciful eyes towards us and lead this coronavirus pandemic.
There in a homily to mark the end of the pilgrimage week of the sanctuary, Reverend Father Stan Onunkwo said Jesus is a tree with many branches through which man can get salvation. At the Rosary Proper as directed by the Holy Father, Pope Francis, both Father Emmanuel, the rector of the sanctuary, and Reverend Father Oliver Udaya each prayed for the intervention of Mother Mary to end the pandemic, in order to winning souls for her son Jesus the Savior, and prayed her to invoke an end to the pandemic. In Elele, Emeka Okpala.
Thank you, Emeka. You are watching the news with the Extra Touch. We take another time out at this point. When we return, be sure to be a part of our next segment because there is a decision about the 5G network the country has taken that should interest you. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying. Federal government has provided the military 100% and more budgeted approved allocation, says Finance Minister, as Nigeria Exchange Group All-Share Index dips by 0.92% amid increased sell pressure. Musa Abakar has details on Business News. Musa, it's over to you.
Thank you, Fatima. The federal government says it has provided 100% funded to budgeted allocation for the armed forces of the country. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, stated this at a Senate committee hearing in Abuja. She explained that what the ministry is providing for the armed forces is not enough, but has so far approved all budgeted allocation to the armed forces, adding that the president puts premium on welfare and equipment for the military.
And when you look at the details, you find that the request is made through the Ministry of Defense by the Defense headquarters, and they detail out how each of these funds is going to be used. So it's initiated by the ministry, by the Defense. It goes to the President. He approves. We release what is based on what is approved. We don't have any view of the actual utilization of this. What we are doing is releasing the funds.
We have agreed to work together so that when the supplementary budget comes before the National Assembly, it will not be a strange document.
Now, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, says it has served public notices to defaulters that the service plans to recover taxes due from the defaulters' assets in the custody of any person, including both not limited to some standing to its credit with a financial institution in Nigeria. In a notice signed by Executive Chairman of the AFIRS, Mr. Mohammed Nami, indicates that all companies, corporate entities and other agents of collection stated are required to pay all outstanding tax liabilities to the FIRS within 30 days from the date of publication of the notice, or risk having all outstanding taxes deducted directly from their bank accounts or statutory allocations, or have their other assets seized by the FIRS and turned over to the government of the Federation in lieu of the withheld taxes. Now, the equities market. Equities market closed Wednesday trading on a negative note. The all-share index shed 0.92% to close 39,433.81 and market capitalization at 20.6 trillion naira. 349.5 million shares worth 3.5 billion naira were traded in 4,554 deals. FBN Holdings, Access Bank, and EcoCorp PLC were the most traded shares at the end of the day's transaction. But that's business news. It's back to you, Fatima.
Well, thank you so much, Musa. And from Ogun State, we hear that the federal and state governments have entered into partnership to empower over 1,000 youth through agriculture. So far, land has been cleared for the project. Anthony Gandono reports.
The land acquired by the Ogun State government at Abuja village in Odeda local government area of the state was meant to achieve the state government agricultural agenda of involving more youth in agriculture. Commissioner for Agriculture Adiola Odedino and the Permanent Secretary in the Ogun State Ministry of Agriculture, who led a team from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to inspect the land cleared for agricultural purposes in different locations in the community, said the collaboration with the federal government will not only reduce youth unemployment but will also ensure food sufficiency and poverty reduction.
If you want to use irrigation, you have to go to a site suitable for irrigation. You have the water here. What we need, and we're already in possession, is to get the pipes and everything to link it so that those young people will not depend on rain alone.
Representatives of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and the Permanent Secretary of the State Ministry of Agriculture noted that the joint project is aimed at achieving climate-smart agricultural policy and empowering the youth.
We've been having a collaboration that is towards provision of food for the nation in general and also to create jobs for the youths. We are going to hand over the land to officially to Ogun State so that the youth can take over the land for agricultural purposes.
The team later paid homage to the village head and the people of Akpojula community and solicited their support for the success of the projects.
It's time for us to join Ayo Deji Makinde for Sports Update. Ayo, it's over to you.
Thanks, Fatih. Let's start by telling you that it will be an all-English Champions League final when Chelsea take on Manchester City. That's on 29th of May at the Ataturk Olympic Stadium in Istanbul in Turkey. The Blues beat Real Madrid by 2-0 to secure a 3-1 aggregate courtesy of goals from Timo Werner in the 28th minute and Mason Mount in the 85th minute. Chelsea will play Manchester City, while City earlier beat PSG by 4-1 on aggregate. Still on football, Ruben Bala scored on his first appearance for Eyimba International Football Club of Aba as the two-time African champions came from behind to finish 2-2 against FC Ifeanyi Uba in Aba on Wednesday in a rescheduled Week 14 fixture of the Nigeria Professional Football League. The result places Eyimba 5th on the log with 31 points after 17 matches, with FC Ifeanyi Uba on 17 points after 19 games. Meanwhile, Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Dare has charged the female national handball team to make Nigeria proud at this year's Africa Handball Cup of Nations in Cameroon. Dare was speaking when he paid an unscheduled visit to the team's camp at the Aguye in Rose Cantonment in Abuja, where the team will be camped for 1 month ahead of the tournament, slated for June 6 to 18, 2021 in Yaoundé. The 14th edition of the ASU National Table Tennis Championship is in progress in Abuja, with over 300 participants vying for honors in various categories. The competition seeks to identify potential talents for Nigeria's future glory in ping pong.
The competition is a good one, and I believe with this it will expose players more.
And finally, the game of archery has been introduced in Plateau State. The state chapter of the Nigeria Archery Federation is leaving no stone unturned in promoting archery in a bid to expand sports on the plateau.
Our people on the plateau traditionally are hunters and farmers as well. So looking at the background to which this game is coming from, I think our people here on the plateau do better.
Sports, it's Chelsea versus Manchester City in the final of the UEFA Champions League. Back to you, Fatima.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News. And also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.
Well, with that, we conclude News Extra for tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. But before I go, remember remember to be a star, connect with the NTA to wage against rape and rapists. I am Fatima Umar Buba. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.